What's up, party people? You know it's serious when I'm not shaving. Actually, I'm growing out my beard on purpose to try to figure out how old I look. I already know I look, 50 because of the creases in my skin, like old leather. Um, but like, came out here and I forget my coffee, so you know it's serious. I don't like go to sleep and wake up anymore over the last and I'm not even counting exactly, but I think it's been like 3 weeks, but I'm not, um, I'm not, um, going to sleep and waking up. I am passing out and coming to, and I am on no drugs. I'm not on cannabis, alcohol, or anything else. Um, the pain medication is not narcotic. Um, So I'm looking for my coffee. Watch, it's out on the table, and I no, it's not on the stairs. If I don't know where my coffee is, that's like a samurai not knowing where his sword is, dude. That's like serious. So it has to be in the microwave. Except it's not hot enough. So how hot do you think it has to be? Your guess is as good as mine is. Let's say 25 seconds hot enough. The door might as well be open because there's a fucking like I have a fly swatter right there, so I mean it is really good. I mean, as soon as it does not take long for insects to die when they get in here. I like it when there's insects that like die and just like they don't even get melted off here. Like I would have to take a toothpick to clean them off. It's like why do that? Like I'm the only one who ever comes in here, like ever. My landlord doesn't ever coming here ever. Not like there's no circumstances under which he does come in here. See if that's hot enough. So yeah, I don't like wake up. I come to and I go to sleep. Like last night, I came to at the crack at 10 p.m. and then I went to sleep at like 5 a.m. and I came to like at 9 a.m. and I like had some ideas and I had to write them down, but it was like by the time I had a pen in my hand, it was like way too late. It was too late to even record them like with a microphone. So I was like, the first thing that came to my mind was, I am bored of these shorts, so I changed my shorts. I mean, I'm pretty fucking mentally healthy, all things considered. I haven't killed anyone yet, and that's always the thing. It's like yet, it's like people keep fucking tempting me. I don't know why people keep fucking tempting me. Like they don't even know how little they're tempting me. Like I can see right through most people. Like why are you trying to upset me? Like I can tell that you have zero ulterior motive, except you're just trying to get one over on me. You think that I don't see through you, and that you're trying to get something from me that I don't want you to have. I don't care if you have it. How about that? I'm 50 and you're 13 and you're trying to get something that you think I don't want you to have, and I don't really care if you have it. How about that? I don't care if you have it. Because for me, I live life like there's a fire tonight, and tomorrow it doesn't matter if I have it or not. What's important to me, I'm still having tomorrow. You don't know what's important to me, but what's important to me, I'm still having it tomorrow. It's not even people, but wherever it is that's important to me, I'm still having it tomorrow, despite whatever it is you do or don't do, or in my life, not in my life. Like, even if you're someone close to me, like, but the people who are close to me, they're not trying to take from me or steal. Those people are not just by definition close to me. Like, so, ChatGPT and I are started to develop a really interesting partnership. Right now I'm trying to find out a way to um, um, trying to find out a way to enhance the budget that we have for writing proofs or for training automated theorem provers, for machine guided proving. And remember, automated theorem proving is an intellectual curiosity, but it does have several major societal level impacts. Like, for example, but I'm not even going to talk about like I made a list of 10 things and how good or how bad automated theorem proving is possibly going to be, and I should I for once, since I guess I work in automated theorem proving now, because I've now developed an automated theorem prover called Predator. Version 7.1 was an automated theorem prover. Version 8.003 was version 2 was a bona fide improvement. It was able to prove a theorem that 7.1 was not able to prove. I don't mean because I guess see what happened was it ran out of the budget. When I say budget, that could mean the hardware crashed or the wall clock, we gave it 60 seconds. So it's like a pressure cooker, okay? We gave it 60 seconds. We gave it like various, constraints, and we called that the budget, right? So, I know my mind's kind of all over the place, but I just came to. So, like, I basically haven't been sleeping. Like, I didn't just sleep like lower consciousness and then raise it. I've been awake for the last 72 hours. I just, my body just like winked out and winked down again. So, like, I I've had no coffee. Like, it seems like I've had 3 cups at least, but I haven't. Like, I've had like 2 swallows off this, and this is not jet fuel. I'm just like reloading, like, what are the ideas that we went over. When I say we, I don't mean I'm schizophrenic. I mean I am, but I don't mean, no, I'm not. Actually, I'm not schizophrenic. Um, that's a really, they're all debilitating illnesses, but that one is really debilitating. Imagine you got white noise, but voices, but all the time, and that's on medication. And a lot of them, when they're off medication, they don't have any idea what's going on, because it doesn't feel foreign. It feels like themselves, like it's their own thought. So a lot of them, like, one, they don't feel like they can get help for. Like, if you're thinking the sky is blue, the sky is blue, you don't think about getting help, for that. And number two is you don't think help is gonna help. Because let's say you try, like, I've been on 3 medications before at the same time. That didn't help. There's what's called treatment-resistant psychosis, and it doesn't help when you're dual diagnosis and you're on a substance, even like cannabis, really, really good cannabis, and that's a misnomer because it's bad cannabis. If you're on really good cannabis and you have a psychotic illness like schizophrenia, there are others like schizoaffective disorder. For example, there are others. Paranoid schizophrenia is another one. Catatonic schizophrenia is another one. There's probably like 7 to 12 big ones that are common. Like if you said, I have a psychotic illness, then that opens the door for there being like 7 to 12 like psychotic illnesses. Medication may or may not help if you're on cannabis, and that's what sucks, because like a good sativa might be the only thing on the whole fucking planet which calms you down and makes the voices manageable as a antipsychotic. But when you're off the sativa, those voices get worse. So then you need the sativa. Unfortunately, I don't know any insurance on the planet that'll cover sativa. So guess what? You've got an expensive antipsychotic, but it works. So you've got a problem. You got something that works, and when you're off of it, you've got a problem. So, and if you don't know what you're taking, like you get it off the street and you got an indica or a mix, a hybrid. If you take an indica and you're trying to take it for relaxation, anyway, these pharmaceuticals, and then if you're on a drug other than cannabis for psychosis, you're trying to manage psychosis. I won't even get into which drugs that, let's say, I've heard about, using for psychosis. It ends up making it a big mess. And at least with, FDA approved drugs, they make it a mess also. But, and I will get to, and my head really itches. It's not that people with psychosis have like a tick or an itch, okay? It's because I need to like fucking put Head and Shoulders on my head, okay? I mean, now that is abolition in bad self-care, but my self-care is just good enough that you don't know how bad it is. That's how bad my self-care is. But, my beard is usually, completely clean. Like, you don't know how bad my self-care is. Like, normally you wouldn't know. Got deodorant on, like the Italian shower is in full effect, when I'm in public. You don't know. Even when I'm not deodorant up, like, I don't emit an odor. I just don't. Like, I am clean enough that I don't emit an odor. Like I'm not lying. Like, when I used to live with people, like now I don't, but when I did, my self-care was good enough that you could see that it wasn't good, but if you didn't know any better, my self-care was just good enough that you don't know how bad it is. Meaning, like, I don't take 3 showers a day like some people. Like I know people who do take 3 showers a day or more. They used to take more when I was younger, when they were younger. We were both younger back then, but he was younger than He is younger than I am now, and he was younger than I was back then also. Um, so proof, uh, proving something with a computer, I hope, and I don't think it'll ever like replace mathematicians. You know, the Bernie Sanders of the world, they have extremely good reason to think that AI is going to replace the workforce of America that we didn't think would be replaced. Like when they started building robots, we wanted to throw sandals into the factories and commit sabotage, right? You know, and that's understandable because you know in factories, who wanted to do the repetitive work, except people who got paid for it. People would make money because they were specialized in the fact that they wanted to do the grunt work that nobody else wanted to do. Like today, it's, you know, I am not using this word. I am quoting people who use this word. It's the wetbacks. Not I don't just mean people from one country. I mean whores. You know, white whores, wetbacks. Okay, white collar wetbacks. People who are willing to write letters. You know, uh, wetbacks. You know, I don't. You know, I just mean people who are willing to do something menial. You know, bartending, where you're serving 100 people a day. You're not even talking to anyone anymore. You're not doing what you signed up for. You know, you're doing something menial. You're clocking in. You're clocking out. You know, you're a whore now. Now, when I say whore, I'm quoting. I'm quoting some people who are assholes. And when I say asshole, I'm not quoting anymore. That's what I'm saying. People who use the word whore as a disparagement are assholes. And that's putting it mildly, in my opinion. It's the oldest profession in the book. And I'm not just talking about sex. I mean, you know, doing something that nobody else really wants to do. And and doing it because it's menial and demeaning and dehumanizing, and hopefully proving theorems will never become that way. Hopefully proving theorems will never be like exercises in a book where mathematicians will have to line them up and knock them down, you know. Fuck, I hope it never becomes like that. See, that's what the automated theorems have to do. They are different from real mathematicians. See, that's why in my opinion, they'll never take jobs away. What I mean by jobs is university tenure track research. That's the jobs of mathematicians. That's not the only job a mathematician has. Like a mathematician might also work for a security firm, like to prove that RSA encryption is difficult. Without a proof that it's difficult, all we have is faith. Well, we've never been able to crack it, so let's put it on the market in the hopes that nobody ever does crack it. Well, if you go by that philosophy, guess what? An ATP is going to crack it. Or not just crack it. See, crack it is a job for another computer. An ATP will prove or find what is the exploit for that system. So let's say security firm has a new security protocol, RSA Prime, and they want to know, is it really difficult like RSA is? And RSA you could prove is difficult, okay? And you can we all have more or less a sense of what does it mean for it to be difficult, and it better be difficult because we're transmitting secrets or confidential information, credit card numbers, military secrets. Sorry, I've got a runny nose. It's not because I have a mental illness, okay? Um, we can completely mask, like, everybody else. And I'm a security firm. I mean, I'm telling you about what's a different job from a mathematician besides a university researcher. I mean, that is definitely a valid job. The question is, is automated theorem proving? Am I going to take jobs away from other mathematicians? 'Cause I don't want to do that. I would stop this if I was going to do that. I would stop it. Why am I doing this? I'm not going to get any money from this. I'm doing this for my own reasons. I mean, it's eventually going to become clear why I'm doing this, but you can't take away from me what I don't have. If you're not paying me, if I'm not getting paid, then no one can stop money. No one can take away, the motivation that I have. It's more than one motivation, and it's not for glory. You can't take that away either. I'm doing this in private. Like the true research I'm conducting, like on GitHub, it's a private repo. So I mean, you can't take away what you can't see. You can't steal what you can't see, unless you crack my password, and you certainly can. But right now, right now, you don't know who I am, and you're not motivated to do so. You don't know this video exists, and you have no idea. You have any reason to suspect that I've got good reasons to give you to start doing stuff like that, to start watching silently. That's what I would do, but that's only if I was a very, very, very bad actor. Because of what I'm about to tell you. It's just a plausibility argument, okay? But I wrote 2 Substack articles which explain this. So this is already on the internet. Like, I'm not introducing anything on the internet right now with this video. This is on the internet, on Substack. It's BTENNESSON2301.substack.com. That's my Substack, and there's 2 articles that are next to each other about automated theorem proving, and you just look at those, and it tells you what are going to be the things to watch out for automated theorem proving. Very similar to AI, like not I shouldn't say similar. I should say parallel. Meaning turning computers into things that could help, like double-edged swords. That's what I'm getting at, is turning computers and computing in general into double-edged swords. And they are double-edged, okay? One of the bad sides, the banes of ATPs is, and I'll just say really briefly, password seeking. ATPs could be used to conduct password seeking in a way that's better than dictionary attacking. Dictionary attacking is what's called brute force search, and ATPs are all about finding a proof. Now, the target of a proof is called a theorem, right? Now, the target of a password search or seeking is called a password. And a password search is hard to carry out because it takes a lot of a budget. And that reminds me, I should write shit down. Budget, okay? That's what spawned all this is budget. So I thought about budgets last night with ChatGPT. How to increase the budget. I think I thought about ways to theoretically increase the budget to infinite budget. That was the breakthrough. To come up with a way to, now it won't work on like finite hardware, but it might be able to come up with a way to utilize all the hardware all at once, to go to an infinite budget, and then utilize that infinite budget, do the proof, and then that would be pretty useless by itself because the proof would be infinitely long. But then translate that by the transfer principle in nonstandard analysis to a finite proof. And then use what's called partial credit, like in a university setting, because proofs are wrong, but we grade them with partial credit, like data, data ATP. There's like a professor module, and it gives wrong proofs, because in an automated theorem prover, if the proof is wrong, it's wrong. It's a certifier gives it a score of 1 or 0. It's either right or it's wrong. But the professor gives it a score between 0 and 1. And what data is trying to do is optimize its partial score and vary the parameters along the way based on the proofs that it has seen in set MM. Adjust its various parameters. It has 20 parameters that have to do with its own creativity and reluctance to change strategy. And that might be 0. So maybe it's perfectly willing to change strategy, or willingness to reset back to 0. Maybe if it's going nowhere, it'll be totally willing to reset. Now, what does it have to gain then? I have no idea. I don't know. But it has an open mind. It is, I don't know. But if it has a score in a different direction, if the parameter, these are all like knobs. You can view parameters like knobs on a stereo or a DAW, a digital audio workstation. And anyway, these budgets, I was thinking there's a cost. There's costs, and if there's a cost, then there's a budget. Because we're thinking, or I'm thinking, if ChatGPT is talking about a cost, and when we implement Predator, there's a budget, and the budget has to do with the wall clock, the RAM, the hardware in general, and the budget has to do with how much time and patience the operator has. Oh man, that thing has been running for 2 weeks now. I ran out of patience. So that's part of the budget, is the patience of the operator. When it runs out of its budget, it stops. You halt it. Or when it runs out of budget, it halts. Or it terminates with an answer before that because it has halting conditions. It knows it found an optimal solution, or it breaks. It has a breaking condition. Now, Predator 8.003 broke after 5 steps, and ChatGPT and I put together, we don't know why. And then we looked at, or actually it, because I'm not a coder, but it looked at the code and it said, wait a minute, the code is actually broken. So we were running bad code. And so I said, and then 8004 is based on that. And I'm like, okay, well then you need to like repair 8003. We're not gonna like worry about that and build 8005 because there was a design principle around like the general idea is it only had 6 training examples before it tried to prove a theorem based on those 6. I'm like, chat, like, you need to come up with a way to make the training set more dense in your subject area. And so it did. It came up with a formula and it implemented it. And then now there's 50. And it didn't pick out 50 in that area. It came up with like a general formula called it's like I think it's called like density training. And now there's 50 instead of 6, and instead of like 100 or 200 homework examples, now there's like 2,000. And that's what I wanted. See, like I'm thinking as the professor, like now, and see the when we do what we're doing right now with the trial runs, this is the test. I'm telling it to prove a theorem, and it's not allowed to do any more training. That's the main thing. It's not allowed to do any more training. It can learn up to this point, but now it's frozen. We call it frozen. And see, this is not grunt work. I'm not a whore. I'm not doing anything menial. And we're not going to make it so that mathematicians are going to be like, so that I'm doing the cool stuff with my ATP, and that mathematicians are going to have to basically do exercises where it's like they've got 100 of them, and they just got to knock them out. Because guess what? They're going to be considered unreliable. The programs are going to be considered reliable. I mean, I don't know why. We should be unreliable. They're the reliable ones. They're the golden answer. We are the silver answer, okay? The bronze answer at best, Remember, these are not numerical approximations. These are proofs. So there's a certified answer that we could give to a human or to a computer, and it could certify the proof, a proofreader, basically. And it's not the same as AI. In AI, there's always approximations, there's room for errors, but in automatic theorem proving, there is no nudge, wiggle room. It's like proof is like independently verifiable by any human. It's like a chess program, okay? Is it a valid move or is it not a valid move? Is it actually checkmate? Checkmate, you could view the checkmate as a proof. Except that this is a checkmate, a chess board with like 8 kings on it, okay? Each one is a different theorem, and there's 7 ways to checkmate each king, or something kind of like that. And that's actually how we get the proofs going, is we view this as a strategy game, not as a brute force game. And we are not playing like Deep Blue. We are playing more like DeepMind or whatever that, or the Google machine that beat the Go champion. We are not thinking brute force. We're guided by machine learning. However, the final result is more like chess. It's like a human looks at it. A human has to look at it and say, yes, those are all legal moves. There's 20 legal moves. And yes, checkmate did occur. Proof happened. Or yes, that is the password. Those are all called targets. Or that is the exit of the maze. The exit of the maze is also called a target. They're all called targets. Okay. maze solving is the same problem, and um, and when you go from San Francisco City Hall to L.A. City Hall, L.A. City Hall is another target. Except in graph theory, there we actually have algorithms for solving them. So I'm going to work on the budgets. We convert a natural number budget, like say 100, or like we're working on like 80,000, whatever it is. It's called expansions, okay? Um, and the question I asked was like, okay, let's not worry about them giving up after 10 expansions. Like, let's think about, will Predator ever figure out this theorem? So let's give it 80,000 expansions and run it on that. And 80,000 expansions is already enough to make my laptop run for 72 hours. But I'm using it, but still, it's not using much CPU, okay? But now I kind of want a dedicated computer so that I could take my laptop like to a cafe if I want. But right now I can't. I cannot. If I close that lid, then I just wasted 72 hours. If my cat jumps on the lid, I just wasted 72 hours. But that's okay. I can't get mad at the cat. I mean, that's what cats do. So I put up barriers. Like, you should see my laptop. Like, it's like a fortress. Like, so we have a finite budget n. Okay, so n equals 80,000 or whatever. It's a natural number. So in my mind, what I want to do is convert a budget to an ever increasing budget. Okay, and then to what's called a hypernatural budget. And so an unlimited budget. That's the insight that I had. ChatGPT. See, I have the insights. Like, I'll say, like, what do you think about unlimited budgets? And then it will write like a 20-page paper on it. You should see like all the paper in my. I have two like file folders. One of them's almost full. Like, the other one's gonna get started pretty soon here. I mean, I do look through them, and and I know where information is. I haven't assimilated all of it, but so I know that I suspect, I should say, that I would like to go from a limited budget to an unlimited budget. Unlimited an unlimited natural number is a real thing in non-standard analysis, but you never talk about like unlimited what's. It's like an intellectual curiosity in non-standard analysis. But like, for the first time in my history, I have a reason to think that unlimited hypernatural numbers could have a meaning in computer science and logic, automated theorem proving. And that is, tired of looking at my hat and not wearing it. Unlimited budget. So you would need, so the main, see, that's great and all, but the main reason why that will work, in my opinion, and I will have to ask Chad about this. See, I could do it myself, but I'll just ask it, like, I'll ask it a question like this: how will the transfer principle get involved in reaching? I'll say reaching, like, in a suggestive way, from a limited budget to an unlimited budget. It'll know what I mean, because it'll know unlimited means hypernatural suddenly, and that means a non-standard number. And every budget can be embedded into every sorry, I'm trying to not lie here, that's why I'm climbing over myself. Every standard budget can be embedded into the hypernaturals, and then I don't know what this means, but if there's some kind of magical transition point. I don't know what that means, but at that point, I don't have a pen. I was silly for not bringing a pen. I didn't think I would be thinking out here. I just thought I would be talking. Unlimited budgets. Yes, see, that has to be useful. Now, the reason, I keep saying the reason, it's called the transfer principle. It's what says that some statements that you make, not all statements, but some statements that you make about hypernatural numbers, like with unlimited budget in mind, about unlimited budgets, like the successor of an unlimited budget is bigger than the unlimited budget. That's a statement about. Now, not all statements are true, but I'm just saying that is a statement about an unlimited budget. Is that I wish I could write shit down, but one statement about an unlimited budget is that if you have a hypernatural n, you could still represent it as n, but n is bigger than every finite natural number. And by bigger, that is a subtle, complicated thing. Not the same as a regular bigger. It's bigger than bigger, literally. But it reduces to bigger among finite natural numbers. Does that make sense? Class is dismissed. No, I wouldn't get it from that either. But the transfer principle says that suppose you have a statement about it's a fucking ant on my phone, but if I slam it, I'm gonna lose the angle. No, that's just the hell is that? Baby scorpion? It has to die. That might be a tick, actually. It definitely needs to die. So, anyway, a statement about the hypernaturals might be, so you have an unlimited number. You could think infinity, okay? Its successor, n plus 1, is bigger than it, n, okay? And when I say bigger, I mean something kind of a lot different than I do than bigger for natural numbers. Bigger for natural numbers is some for a different time, because natural numbers is something for a different time. I could tell you in about 1 minute what that all means, but that'd be a distraction. It is a very simple set theory definition. Would it make sense? I doubt it. It wouldn't make sense to me. I mean, it might be nice to know that there is a definition of it. There is a definition of it. It's not just like falling from the sky completely. What falls from the sky are symbols for sets, and a symbol for is an element of. That's it. That's all there is in set theory. There aren't like in calculus, who knows how many different symbols there are. There's, I don't know how many, 40, whatever. There's lots. In set theory, or no. Like, yeah, there's is an element of, and there's symbols for sets. I mean, but anyway, that statement in among for hypernaturals, you think non-standard hypernaturals are the unlimited hypernaturals, because there's overlap. See, there's finite. They don't call them finite; they call them limited. The limited hypernaturals, those are the natural numbers, but they're not exactly the natural numbers. But you can think of them as the natural numbers. They're an isomorphic copy, but they're compatible. They're compatible so that they're so that inequalities match up. So you're comparing apples to apples, okay, instead of apples to oranges. So you have this statement for unlimited hypernaturals that says n plus 1 is greater than n for all n. Or you could say for all n plus 1 is greater than n. That's a statement. And again, statements don't have to be true. That one is true, but they don't have to be true. The transfer principle is, so that's for the unlimited hypernaturals. That's on the hypernatural, like, say, line, okay? And then you have the regular natural numbers. If you hop over, it's the same statement. For all n... Oh, hi. Oh, thank you.
Oh, come back.
I thought that might happen. It's the same, symbolically, it's the same statement. For all n plus 1 is greater than n. Or n is less than n plus 1. Except what we mean is, for all is quantifying over natural numbers, no longer over non-standard numbers. N is meaning, over natural numbers. And less than is no longer this strange, comparison among, apples. Now it's among oranges. And n plus 1. N plus 1 is successor among natural numbers, not hypernatural numbers, or non-standard or unlimited numbers. It's not unlimited numbers, it's limited. It's not limited numbers, it's finite natural numbers. Sorry, I didn't prepare to talk about this. The transfer principle says one of these is true if and only if the other one is true. One of these is false if and only if the other one is false. That's the transfer principle. That they're equally true at all times. So that's the transfer principle. And thank you so much. Just got my food. So it took a while to explain, but that's the transfer principle. How does that apply to budgets? Well, budget, that applies, to budgets as well. But with proofs, now we're going to have infinitely long proofs where length of proof is infinite. So that's length is unlimited. And then the terminal, I don't know. See, I don't know how that's going to work. I'm going to investigate that. Do you want me to sign something? Okay. Drive safely. The transfer principle is what makes that, limited budget to unlimited budget. That's what makes that whole thing like not just interesting, but perhaps useful. Because what we're going to do is go from standard budget to non-standard budget, make statements, statements, remember, like we had about the successor, those are statements, and then use the transfer principle, and then we'll have a bunch of standard statements. And then if they were true up here, then they're going to be true with the finite budget. So that was my idea anyway. And it talked about cost last night. So we were inspiring each other. When I saw it talk about cost, I'm like, budget. And then as soon as it said cost, I thought budget. And I was like, wait a minute, budget. If we can, because we never formalized budget before. And I asked it, like, because budget was just not something in my theories. I said, where does budget come in our theories? And it said, never. And I said, that's not right. That's not right. Budget should be somewhere if we're going to use it in our programming. And then it was like, yeah, it should. And when it wrote about cost, it might be right here. No, it's not right here, but it wrote about cost, and I was like, cost? Well, that's budget. That means there's a budget lurking around. And I said, I didn't propose my idea about extending to the unlimited budget. But I'm going to do that right now. See what happens. Should be fun.